Hello everyone, and welcome back to The Pulse. I am your host Connor Sundet, and on behalf of myself and the team here at Spokane Talks, we are very happy to have you with us. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be right back after this.
Well, this is Bloomsday in Spokane. We got about 40 firefighters and their friends and family handing out 40,000 cups of water as the day goes by.
It's a very good opportunity to see the public and support them and help them out and cheer them on during Bloomsday.
It's one of the best things about Spokane is that we have these major events and the whole community comes together not just to participate but to volunteer and show that they really care about our city and making our city look great.
This type of an event really is emblematic of Spokane because so many people get involved. We have 50,000 people probably running this race. Always has been a very huge event.
Right now we're at the corner of Broadway and Nettleton. It's the last water station before the finish, so people are pretty much dehydrated by the time they get to us. They really need our water.
The water stations are a vital part, especially on warm days like today. It's real important that we have the volunteers to help with that. Without the volunteers, Bloomsday wouldn't exist.
All up and down the course, there are people that are involved in this celebration. It really is a celebration of what Spokane's all about.
At Wendell, you are respected, you are valued, and we have an experience tailored to fit your lifestyle.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Gina.
And we bought 3 cars from Wendell Motors. Throughout the day, I just kind of would get updates, texts, phone calls, and I was actually really impressed with how my wife was taken care of.
People should shop at Wendell because they make you feel like family.
For your tailored experience, come see us at Wendell at the Y or Wendell.com.
What happens when you pay your ABC membership?
We're glad you asked.
We educate the future workforce.
We keep you safe.
Negotiate the best insurance rates.
Organize networking events.
Implement 401k programs.
To keep our members open shop.
Offer discounts to make you profitable.
Each path to success is different,
but they all start and go through ABC.
We are ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors of the Inland Pacific,
where all the best builders and contractors locally unite.
When building a home or considering a major remodel, who are you going to choose? The Spokane Home Builders Association is an organization that works to elevate professionalism in the residential construction industry. We promote, protect, and educate for our community, building our community one home at a time. We are the Spokane Home Builders Association.
What's up, Spokane? I'm your host Connor Sundet, here to keep you up to date on all things in our wonderful city. First, Puzzling Adventures is starting their Spokane one-team scavenger hunt this Sunday. The game works by sending you clues about locations to go to solve riddles, puzzles, or answer other questions about certain locations. They send clues directly to your phone, so all you need is a stable internet connection and your cellular device. The adventure is self-guided, meaning that there is no guide or limit to how big your team or how small your team can be. You can also start at any time after the 14th too, if that works better in your schedule. The idea is that the hunt will take you on a bit of a tour around the city and show off all of the great things about the Spokane autumn season. The adventure, in my opinion, is a fun way to get out and enjoy fall with your family and maybe find something you never knew before about the area. You can register now at https://puzzlingadventures.com. And remember, you only need 1 ticket per team, not 1 ticket per person. Next, this Saturday and Sunday, Wes Hansen is teaching a painting workshop at Spokane Art Supply on Monroe Street. Wes is a 40-year-old painting veteran and has taught several classes at Spokane Art Supply in the past. The workshop will go from 10 to 4 with an hour for lunch. In the workshop, painters will work to blend different styles of realism and abstract together to make something beautiful. People are encouraged to bring pictures of loved ones or subjects that they wish to incorporate into their painting so that they can make a beautiful piece of art. There's a full supply list available at the Spokane Art Supply website, so go there for any more information you desire. So whether you will be outdoors or indoors, this weekend is shaping up to be a pretty fun one. And that's what's up, Spokane. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be right back after this.
Contact us today to learn how PowerView automation makes everyday living effortless.
Why are housing prices going up so fast in the Spokane area? Hello, I'm Darren Watkins with the Spokane Association of Realtors. It's a simple case of supply and demand. Since 2010, we have seen the number of available homes on the market fall dramatically, from 2,348 in January of 2010 to only 164 per month in 2021. That's a 94% reduction in our housing supply. The result? Housing prices began to climb rapidly in 2015, with a median home price in Spokane County of $179,000. That same home today would cost you $380,000. That is, if you can even find a home to buy.
For the last, I'd say at least 10 to 15 years, I think we've been underbuilding. We've seen this crisis coming, and nothing's being done to fix it.
There are no homes to purchase. When there is a home that comes up that buyers like, you're up against 20 plus other buyers who are making an offer on the same house.
Adding to the crisis, thousands of families are fleeing major West Coast cities such as Seattle, Portland, and Los Angeles. Among the top destinations, Spokane, Washington.
When you talk about an out-of-town buyer, they've sold that home in a coastal market, let's say, a Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, LA, take your pick, for $1.5 million, and they come to Spokane and can replace that thing and be in a nicer home for $500,000.
When there are 20 plus offers on a property that they feel like they don't have a chance. So now they're having to look at homes far lower than they're even qualified for, because they have to compete with cash deals or something that goes so much further over the list price, and it's extremely defeating for clients.
The answer is clear. We need more homes immediately, especially for entry-level workforce housing. Every day that we wait, those costs are just going to keep going up and up.
First, join us with Kent as he talks to the president of Eastern Washington University, David May, about how he has taken the helm during the COVID-19 pandemic for his school and his successful remote learning advancements. Take a look.
Welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. I'm Kent Adams, and I'm really pleased to have the guest that we have today. He has had several positions at EWU, and now he is the acting president. It doesn't get much better than that, and you'll like him. Next on the Pulse of Spokane.
Spokane Realtors are dedicated to helping you find the right place to live. We're more than 2,000 strong, small business men and women guiding you through this most important purchase. We're also your neighbors, giving back thousands in volunteer hours to make our community a better place. We believe owning a home helps you live longer, with stronger families and better neighborhoods. That's who we are, ready to help you find your way home. Call one today.
Well, when I say I'm pleased to have David May, actually Dr. David May, actually President Dr. David May. You have the titles, don't you?
I seem to have several. I collect. Yeah. I've got a lot of different name tags in my office.
Don't bring up some if they're not worth, okay.
No.
I'll have to tell you, I interview and talk to a lot of people. You are very calm. You come across as somebody that knows what they're doing. I have heard such good things out at Eastern and in the community about you. You have really taken this job as acting, and you're acting it quite well. But let's go back and talk about your path to get where you are, because you're the son of a professor at Whitworth, right?
Whitman, actually.
Whitman, okay. Whitman, okay. And then so that's why you went there.
That's a big part of it, yes.
Big part of it, yes.
Big part of it.
Yes, yes. What got you interested, other than Dad and in knowing the campus and some other things, what got you interested in education with all the choices that you could have?
Well, in all honesty, the answer to your question is I wanted to get out of the construction world that I was living in.
Oh, okay.
I'd looked around after college, and I was working in pouring concrete, and I looked at the people around me, and they were, they'd had hard lives, and I wanted to I wanted to do something different with my life. And so that's
Yeah.
what led me back to graduate school in the early 90s.
Wow, wow. That is, I love what I call teachable moments. And you probably know the term too,
Yes.
that we have those opportunities, and sometimes we think we're stuck in things, right? Because of our parents or our education or whatever. But we're not. We only get one chance at this thing called life. And we want to do some things that are fun and exciting and challenging, right?
Yeah. Well, and the other piece of it was that my lovely wife, who was not my wife at the time, wasn't really very interested in spending too much more time with a construction worker.
Oh, okay. That helps too, doesn't it? Yeah.
That's a little more context
Yeah.
for you there.
So you got your degree in political science?
I got my degree in political science.
Why political science?
I think like a lot of people, the answer to that question is I had a professor.
Okay.
I had a professor.
That is a running
very common.
tale with almost everybody.
Very common. I went to Whitman to be an engineer.
Okay.
Then Calc 3 happened.
Yes.
And Calculus 3 and I did not get along. So I started wandering about the university looking for my next adventure. And I took a class from a professor, Timothy Kaufman, Osborne, TKO. Still friends with him. And he hooked me.
And I hear that when I talk with folks who have been excited for their career because of the educator that they've met, the professor, he or she, and that so many of them are still friends with them.
Yeah.
That really builds a bond, doesn't it?
It does, and it's something I see all the time at Eastern Washington University as well. I have students who still contact me.
Really?
Yeah, I teach constitutional law, and so the first Monday of September is the first day of the Supreme Court term every year.
Yes.
And I have 3 students who text me every first Monday.
I love it.
Happy Supreme Court Day.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's
And
the connection.
that's fun for them, isn't it?
It is. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah. And you don't just ignore it, though. You respond, right?
Oh yeah, no. One of them sends me pictures of her kids, and we stay in touch.
Right. Right. Let's talk about what's happened at EWU.
Mhm.
You taught there for a while.
This is my 23rd year. Yes.
23rd year. Wow. Okay. And I'm not even that old. I'm kidding. Political science.
Yes.
And then let's walk me through what you've done, because you've had a couple of really good opportunities.
So I started out very early. My 3rd year there actually as the department chair, and I was
Okay.
department chair for nearly a decade. And I learned a lot in that time, both sort of in the classroom, but also in the conference room.
Right. Right.
I was learning how to be a teacher. I was learning how to be an administrator.
Right.
So that was a challenging decade. We went through a generational shift from people who'd been there 35 years to me being the senior faculty member quite suddenly.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it was
That is a change, isn't it?
a lot of change.
Yes,
And
it
so-
is.
Yeah. So a couple years.
Well,
after-
we've always done it this way, David,
Well,
right?
yeah, exactly. We've always done it this way, and we're not sure these newfangled ideas are a good thing. And I don't mean to speak ill of anyone.
No.
They were great colleagues and friends.
But that's very common.
Yes,
It is.
A little set in our ways after a few years, and something for all of us to guard against, I think.
Yes, yes.
I moved into a dean's office as an associate dean for a year and a half or so, and then went back to the classroom for about 6 years. Just very happy. Teaching's why I went to grad school.
Yes.
It wasn't to be an administrator. So then in 2016, we hired a provost. I was on the search committee. He called me up and said, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you." And I said, "Oh boy. Oh boy." He had a very expansive vision for academic affairs, all the academic units of the university. And I agreed to go to work for him as his vice provost.
Wow.
3 years later, he left to take a presidency in Texas, and they asked me to be the interim provost.
Wow.
While they did a search for the permanent provost.
Right.
And I said, okay. And then after about 4 months of that, COVID happened.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's when the job went from being interesting and challenging to nearly impossible.
And in that role, with all that's going on, you helped transform EWU into a different kind of operation, didn't you? In fact, so different even from others in this area, but across the country.
Yeah, we were one of the first to say we were going to be all online for the spring of 2020.
Right.
Back, you may remember this, back when we all thought, oh, this will be 6 or 8 weeks of weirdness, and then it'll all be back to normal.
I even heard at one point 2 weeks,
Yeah,
right?
we'll be in lockdown for 2 weeks, and everything will be fine. So little did we know, and we were actually probably the second or third university in the United States to say we were going to be online for the fall. And there was a lot of pushback to that because people thought 6 weeks, why would you do this on May 4th? But I was proud of the work we did in always keeping health and safety centered.
Yes.
We asked people to do things that seemed impossible at the time,
Yes.
and very nearly were.
Yeah.
But students, faculty,
And if
staff,
not impossible, at least awkward.
Awkward, uncomfortable, unknown.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. We had no idea for how long we had to
Right.
do it.
You're right.
And that creates an enormous amount of stress on people.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
fact that students, faculty, and staff sort of bucked up under that kind of weight,
Yes.
and we got through the last year and a half together, incredibly proud of everything we did.
Yes. Yes. How do you think you got there? How did the campus get there? What was there student leadership as well as faculty leadership to do this?
It took everybody.
Yes, I imagine.
From my side, it was about communication.
Okay.
I would hold Zoom town halls. It felt like every day. It wasn't quite that often, but I was holding a lot of town halls just because people needed information. They needed
They needed to
reassurance.
connect somehow.
They needed to know somebody was paying attention.
Yeah.
And so I, at the provost at the time, did a lot of town halls, answered a lot of questions, just tried to help people get over the hump.
Yes. Which we all thought was going to be next week or next month, didn't we? Yeah. At some point, did you think we'd ever get past this?
You know, I've always had faith because I have a lot of faith in science.
Yeah.
And I have a good friend in the Seattle area who has a degree in microbiology and other words that I'm not sure what they mean. And
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you, okay?
I'm a political scientist, so those big words are tough. I have to sound them out still. He told me early on in the spring of 2020, he said, look, by Christmas, they'll be rolling out a vaccine. They'll be doing trials by the summer, rolling out a vaccine by Christmas. And we didn't quite hit that. But he said by next summer, if everybody gets the vaccine, we'll be mostly back to normal. And I trust scientists, so I believed him, and we've come a long ways.
So so that everybody knows, and we're all on the same playing field, where is the campus right now? How much of it is in person versus online and so forth?
So we're nearly back to where we were in the fall of 2019, almost.
Okay.
I don't have an exact percentage for you, but we, even during the pandemic, even during the dark days of the pandemic, we had some classes that were still face-to-face.
Yeah, and some classes you almost had to be in the chemistry lab or somewhere, right?
For professional programs like physical therapy, you can't get a license until you actually touch other human beings.
Yeah.
And so we had to do that. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, dental hygiene.
Right.
Licensing requires you to be
to
have those clinical experiences. So we had some of that throughout. We had a very, very limited number of other types of courses on the Cheney campus.
Yes.
But we're back almost to where we were in 2019. Everybody's wearing a mask.
Okay.
We're trying to still maintain social distancing when possible.
Right.
And I have to tell you, everybody has been great. We have had no problems with students. You know, we were worried there would be a political protest or
sure.
something.
Yeah.
We've had no problems. Sure, we've had to remind people, hey, got to wear a mask. They're like, oh goodness, yes. Let me do that.
If you're doing other things the rest of the day that you don't have to, you do forget. I mean, honestly, until you've seen enough people and go, there's something different here, you know.
Wait a minute.
But if you're talking on the phone with your girlfriend or boyfriend or you know what I mean, they're just they're distractions.
Well, you're outside eating lunch at a picnic table and you walk into a building and we're all pretty used to it, and so everybody's doing great. But there have been a few times where I've had to say, don't forget your mask.
You've done a lot remote though, because I know we did the awards, alumni awards and graduation and so forth. I'm curious, what kind of response did you get from that?
This year's graduation was better than last.
Really?
Yeah, last year we didn't actually read all the names.
Okay.
And so just that addition so that families could hear their son or daughter or husband or wife hear their name read out loud.
Oh, good.
And, you know, I was actually up there live,
Yes.
conferring degrees.
Yes.
Which is, those are the special moments. We didn't have a speaker, and we didn't do
Right.
all the ancillary things, but we got back to really the core of what a graduation is.
Yes, yes. It's about an education.
It's about it. It's
It-
about
It
fulfilling
really
your
is,
educational
isn't it?
dream.
Yeah, yeah.
Getting to the end of that.
I've got to
dream.
ask a question because you've been around for 23 years. What's the difference in today's student to 23 years ago?
Wow, that's a dangerous question.
I know.
You know, you hear a lot of talk about millennials and Gen Z. And,
Yes.
And I don't think all of those stereotypes are true.
Okay.
I think that we have students who are very interested now in not just a major, but they're interested in a mission.
Okay. Yes.
They're interested in something beyond themselves.
Yeah. Right.
When we hear from students, they want to make sure that what Eastern's mission is aligns with their life mission.
Okay.
Because you can go to a lot of places and get a degree in political science.
Right. Right.
But does what political science, and I'm just picking on my home department, is what we're doing in terms of environmental politics and policy, does that align with their
Right.
vision of themselves in the
Right.
future? And so I think that they're more mission driven, and they're also more interested in return on investment.
Okay.
They want career connection.
Yes.
They want to be able to walk out the door and say, I've got a meaningful career that I'm stepping into.
Right. Right. Right.
And that doesn't mean everybody has to be an engineer or a doctor, but they want to know that the education they're getting is going to have value in their entire
Right.
life career.
Right. Wow. The Catalyst building.
Yes.
Was near to you and dear to you.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Still is.
Still is. Yes. Why?
The Catalyst building for me represents a couple of things, and I'll see if I can tick them off and not forget anything that just popped into my head. One, I think that it's a statement, not just that Eastern's in Spokane, but Eastern's a leader in Spokane.
Yes. Yes.
It's an example of public-private partnerships.
Good.
We have great partnerships with McKinstry and Avista that allowed us to be in that building. And those partnerships are incredibly valuable, and I think there are going to be more of those in public education going forward.
Right.
And the third thing is it's career-connected learning.
Yes.
Our students are...
What you were talking about before. Can I take it with me?
Yeah.
And implement it.
They're in a living laboratory.
Yes.
They're working with McKinstry's development people to talk about smart grid, meets smart building, meets smart classroom, meets smart student.
Yes.
And so they're getting hands-on experience. It's not just learning in books. It's going across the street to the Scott Morris Center for Energy Innovation.
Yes.
And talking to actual practicing engineers who are doing the work.
Wow.
And helping them and learning from them and teaching them things as well.
How unique is that for us in Spokane compared to other areas?
In terms of what the Catalyst represents in those areas,
right.
I don't know of another building that's like it.
Yeah.
It is one of the best buildings that has ever been built. And I will tell you, it's smarter than I am. not that there may be many buildings
way ahead of me.
maybe many buildings that could say that, but certainly the Catalyst can.
Right, right. What do you see the challenges on your table on your desk at work for the next 6 months, 12 months?
Enrollment is going to be key.
Is it down?
It's down some this year.
Okay.
Kind of across the state and across the region, really nationally. There are some universities, elite universities, that have long waiting lists that can backfill enrollment as they wish. For the regional comprehensive university like Eastern,
right,
we're facing some headwinds. We're facing demographic headwinds.
Okay.
Declining birth rates in the Great Recession are starting to hit us now. People right now are looking at every business opening in town and saying, "Wow, I can get a job right now for a pretty good salary."
Right.
And an 18-year-old me, if you said you could make $15 or $16 an hour,
right, and get paid to go to school too.
Yeah, well, in a lot of places, yeah.
In some places, yes, yes.
And so there's that. We have some cultural issues. There's somewhere around 40% of Americans who say they don't see the value in higher education anymore. We need to do a better job of explaining what that value proposition is.
Right.
We know that some...
But we also need to say that the trades are good too.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and for a while there, a lot of us were guilty of, you got to have a 4-year or 5-year degree. And some of those folks that are now out there working in the trades are doing better than we're doing.
No,
you know what I mean?
Couldn't
happier
agree
and
more.
everything else. So
I think
it's got to be what's for you, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I think the key is to have the entire range of post-secondary choices available.
Is what it comes down
if
to.
If it's internships, if it's
Yes.
certifications, if it's apprenticeships, if it's 2 years with a terminal, if it's 2 years with a transfer, if it's 4 years,
Right.
if it's a 4-year research, all of those options have to be available to
Yes.
students. I completely agree with you.
How do we get the word out there? That what the options are?
We do-
I know every institution works on their own thing, but are there ways to collaborate maybe?
There are, and actually the regional comprehensives have put in a request to the state legislature again this year,
Okay.
sort of cooperatively,
Okay.
To work on FAFSA. It's the free application for federal student aid.
Okay.
It's the first step toward becoming a college student for most people.
Okay.
If you don't fill that out, you can't get any financial aid. And what we've seen in the last couple of years, really COVID years, is people aren't filling it out.
Okay.
And it's worse among low income. It's worse among minorities. It's worse among Hispanics, Latinos, for instance. And so our plan,
Some of the harder to reach folks.
Yeah.
Really.
harder to reach. And so our plan is to do very targeted, very dedicated outreach to some specific demographics in Spanish, for instance.
Okay,
So,
good.
so that we can talk to the families.
Yes,
In a
yes.
language that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, because you might have the student kind of excited, but the family going, you don't need that.
You can get a
based
job.
on tradition.
Based on tradition, or
Yes.
you can get a job.
Yes.
Why would you need to spend 2
Yes.
years or 4 years?
Yeah, we've had people in here who have been talked into going on to higher education but their families tried to talk them out of it. And you know the stories, you see the stories all the time. And to give them help so that they can convince the family, and the family will be supported, because naturally they're looking at the day-to-day operations of a family.
Yes.
Comes down to money and food and all the
Yes.
other things. We understand that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we have to be sure as an institution that when we're bringing these students onto our campus,
Yes.
that we're ready to support them.
Yes.
And that can be financially, that can be culturally, certainly intellectually, because those students, as you're just pointing out, maybe without full support of their families or
Yeah.
families that are questioning, if they stub their toe on something,
And it's over.
they may just walk away.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we have to be sure that when we're accepting that student, I like to say any student that is good enough to come to Eastern is great enough for us to graduate.
Yes.
And we need to make sure that we're doing our part to make sure that happens.
Yeah. Wow. I don't envy you for your to-do list sitting on your desk. It's probably electronic, but these days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but I'll tell you, and I have to say this every time, nobody does this job or your job or really any job alone. There's an amazing team of incredibly dedicated people
Yes.
at all levels of the institution who make what I do possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. In fact, sitting in my office is my business manager, who is an intern from EWU.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll have to
he
say
was
hi.
he was doing broadcast and so forth, and decided that the business world and economics and all that are more his thing, and he has been with us since just toward the end of August, and we have accomplished more things with him, including social media and everything else. So I can speak for him and for some others that we've had from Eastern in the past, that you have some good folks out there.
Thank you. We have amazing students, and,
Yeah.
and what you're doing, thank you for that. That's
Yeah.
the career-connected learning that we need to have more of.
Yes, yes. I remember when I was going to college, even in high school, but college especially, the opportunity to get out and get some work, internships, if you will, and so forth. I think 1 year, of course, this will be centuries ago, literally. I think I made 37 cents, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But got more value out of that to be able to transfer what I learned in the classroom to out in the field. And I really encourage any student, whatever their interest is and major is, to get that internship opportunity. It really does make a difference. And you have to be careful. I like to say the interns that we have here, including in broadcast, which is mainly with GU, because they've got that broadcast division and so forth, but also with Whitworth and so forth, and in the past, clearly with Eastern, is that we're not a CNC internship, copies and coffee.
Yeah.
And I know some of the broadcast stations in town have kind of done that. Well, you can go along with and so forth. We put our interns in front of the microphone and the camera like on day 2 or day 1. Okay, we want them to be frightened and learn the experience and stumble along. Okay, that's how we learn. Look, I have no background in this. Okay, and I'm getting by. So if at 75 I can, the 21-year-old can too, right?
There's nothing wrong with being a little nervous when you walk into your day of work, and
no kidding.
And being okay with making some mistakes. You know, the only true mistakes are the ones you don't learn anything from.
Yes, isn't that the truth? It isn't that,
So-
that really is. David, I want to thank you for coming in, and we're going to have you more often. While we're doing the experts at EWU, and I will have to tell you, you have nothing but, so far, nothing but top-notch professors who have come in. I learned something. I learned more now than I did in a couple of years of college, okay? And you have a gold mine out there of staff.
Absolutely.
And they've even brought students in and so forth. And we're going to be out there doing some more things. And we had originally planned to do all of the experts out there, but then COVID came along after our first one. So we've all had to learn, but we want to do more and more on campuses, both downtown and out in Cheney and so forth, as we move forward and everything gets a little more relaxed and so forth. But I'll have to tell you, I'm impressed with the people that you have out there working and what they do for their students, and I have nothing but respect for them. So
Thank you. I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Amazing people doing amazing work.
yeah. And like maybe some out there, I've been skeptical sometimes of what's out in education today. Okay, I'm reinforced every time I meet one of your people to what their care for the kids. They're kids to me, okay? Anyone under 50 is a kid to me, okay? But their care and their wanting to help, I see them and hear from them about underserved students and what they and other students are doing to make sure that they're included. All of that becomes a natural part of their teaching process.
It absolutely does.
Yeah. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching the Pulse of Spokane.
What? You haven't been to the library lately? Stop in today and see that the library is more than books. Spokane County Library District facilities feature on-site technology, including Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, as well as free use of meeting rooms. The Library District offers events and programs for all ages, from story times to career development and employer classes to Social Security workshops. Our staff is well trained and happy to help. Find out more about your library at scld.org.
I was selling drugs. I was in and out of prisons. I didn't know how to read or write. I couldn't even read the sign at UGM that said, "Hope starts here." Union Gospel Mission taught me to trust people. I have a job. I'm learning to read. I never thought that I would find a community that would support me like UGM does. I am so grateful to God. Real change is possible. Union Gospel Mission.
Starting a digging project? Before you reach for the shovel, you must click callbeforeyoudig.org, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. Protect our buried utilities and click callbeforeyoudig.org.
Next, join us with Connor in his conversation with Sydney Guthrie Tripp from Wishing Star, a nonprofit organization that works with making children's dreams come true. Around the holiday season, they see an influx of requests and donations, and your support is much appreciated. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to The Pulse. Today, I'm with Cindy from Wishing Star. Cindy, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So talk about a little bit what you do and what the nonprofit does here in Spokane.
So what I do is one of the most rewarding jobs I feel in town because it all involves giving back and helping kids between the age of 3 and 21. With the Wishing Star Foundation grants wishes to kids ages 3 to 21 who are terminal or have a life-threatening illness. So what I do, I'm Director of Community Partners and Development. So I go out there in the community and I work with businesses and sponsors and folks that want to support our mission, bring them into our fold, and then, gosh, from there it can go any which way.
That's awesome. I've heard of Wishing Star before. We have one of our hosts, Gabe. You might know him. He had cancer early on and do something on that.
Yes, Gabe, I'm sure as you know, is pursuing a career in race car driving. And Gabe was before my time with Wishing Star.
Okay.
The wish that we granted him, he went back to a racetrack, I don't remember where, but it led to a lifelong passion, and now he's pursuing that. And that has happened several times over 38 years of which Wishing Star has existed. We have helped wishes for kids. We have a UW graduate this year who went into graphic design, originating from the wish that we granted him. So instrumental from the time we're with them all the way beyond that initial wish that we grant.
Well, that's awesome. God bless that.
Thank you.
And Wishing Star, I mean, that helps those kids who are going through such a hard time.
Yes.
And they'll tell you, I mean, it sucks what
Yep.
they're going through, but
Yep.
for Make-A-Wish to do what they do.
Yes. I spoke to Gabe the other day, and gosh, it was fun to see him and meet him. We have a large, we have served over 6,000 families in the state of Washington.
That's awesome.
Our second largest service areas, the Tri-Cities. We have kids all the way over on the west side and also into north and central Idaho. So to meet Gabe after he has been through the program, it's so rewarding to hear how it impacted his life. So we do that initial wish, and then we've got 2 other programs after that keeps our wish kids with us.
Okay, why don't you elaborate on those
Yeah,
programs?
so the first program is our wish granting program, and that's obvious. So we grant their wish, which can be as different as the kids. And if they can wish it, boy, we're going to do our best to make it happen. It can include travel wishes. It can include meeting a famous, movie star, athlete. It could be something to a backyard makeover, which we have done. So it varies, and however we can do it, that's where I come in and muster up in-kind donations, time, talent, funding, and this community is just beyond generous and supportive of those wishes. The second program is Beyond the Wish. So once the kids come in to our program and we grant the wish, we're not done with them. We've loved on them. We have supported them. We get to know the parents. We get to know their siblings. So we have Beyond the Wish for not only the wish kid, but the siblings and the parents.
Oh, that's awesome.
So before COVID, that included baseball games or concert tickets or Disney on Ice, where as a community, they can all gather together. They're with other kids in the Wishing Star program. They forged friendships. The parents are supportive of each other. And we were able to do those group activities. COVID hit, and Wishing Star decided we're not going to put our head in the sand and wait till the sun comes out. We decided to push forward and really add on to this program. So that included supplying PPEs for these families, for these kids that cannot need to be germ-free, cannot be ill. The parents need that extra supply of masks and gloves and sanitary wipes. And so we stepped forward with that. We stepped forward with helping kids that needed extra assistance. We've done, we've purchased just in the last year a couple generators. We have done, adaptable medical equipment to provide for them the services of which they struggle with or programs that aren't available.
Right.
So that's what COVID really expanded that program. And then last, we have after the wish. So when a wish kid passes, we have now implemented this program to help with funerals. So that might include the expense of the funeral, counseling, any way we can support the family. And then
Anything to help them
Yep.
get through the grief of losing a child or losing
Exactly.
a sibling.
And after 6 months, we take the parents and offer them a getaway trip so that they can begin that healing process. So
That is
we take an approach of a holistic approach to support the entire family.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, to do that for the families and not on top of that, the kid, most importantly,
Right.
is wonderful.
Yeah.
And this community thanks you, thanks the foundation itself
Yeah.
for doing so. And how do you guys raise the money in order to do this?
Well, during COVID, lots of grants and lots of small and large, actually. We've had some amazing support from local businesses here. And then we become third-party fundraising recipients. We have a couple coming up as we speak. We have, I'll mention, the Wonder Building downtown, right there by the arena. The Wonder Building has some fabulous restaurants and bakery and coffee, and they're going to do a winter market starting November 20th through December 18th, every Saturday from 10 to 2. Kids can come down. There'll be games. There'll be hot chocolate. There'll be vendors, artisans, food. So it's a family fun event. It's free, and Wishing Star will receive a portion of those proceeds.
That's good.
We have another one. We have partnered with Wendy's. Wendy's has always been involved with our Send a Friend a Goat campaign, which always is in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted to do more, and they wanted to give back. So 11 of the Wendy's locations are going to do a community night where a portion of the proceeds from 5 to 7 p.m. will go back to Wishing Star. So that will be in December. And then we have one coming up November 27th, Thanksgiving weekend. That's a Saturday. Brothers Flooring has just been one of our biggest supporters, and they are hosting a wrestling match, which they have brought to town, called Relentless Wrestling. And it'll be held out in Liberty Lake at Trailbreaker Cider. And so that's another one where we will get that third-party funding. So we're always partnering and looking for ways to bring money in the door.
And opportunities too to bring entertainment or whatever to kids, to
Yes.
the community itself.
Yes.
And God bless. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just awesome. Is there any other ways that Wishing Star helps the community in any other ways? The technology sector, I think we were talking
Oh,
about.
yes,
the
that's
education.
that is another. Super excited to launch this program. This is our Vigo program.
Okay.
This is an educational resource that's going to be offered to our kids probably within the next 4 weeks. We are working on just the last of those details, but these are robotic monitors that allow our Wish kids to go to school in real time from the
Really?
hospital or their home. So
Awesome.
we are the only organization west of the Mississippi that has access to this. And so Wishing Star, in partnership with Northwest Farm Credit Services, has funded us to purchase 5 of these. And so they're about 3 feet tall. They're robots, and our Wish kiddos will be on their device at home on a laptop or whatever they, Kindle, a tablet, and they will be at school from their bed via this. Think of Skype on wheels.
Okay.
So they're in the classroom,
Kind of like Zoom.
like Zoom,
Yeah.
and they can correspond with their classmates. We'll have bot buddies that will be assigned to this Vigo, and it's in real time. They can raise their hand. They can talk back and forth with the
Interact
teacher.
with
They can-
everyone around.
They can walk down the hall.
So that the child is actually
Yes.
or has the experience of being in school.
Exactly. They walk down the hall with their classmates. They lunch with their classmates, and so that connection of keeping them mentally, in touch with their peers
Mm-hmm.
helps so much. as they're doing their journey, their battle back home or in the hospital. And I think it's going to be a great program to teach our children, our teenagers in the school, within the school districts, to have compassion, to take, even though he's out of sight, sometimes, out of sight, out of mind. And so we want to teach compassion, and
it's just a great opportunity for these kids to feel a sense of normalcy.
It is.
Normalcy, or
Yeah.
the word normalcy.
Yeah, normalcy.
Normalcy.
Yep.
And-
So we're super excited to launch that. That will start, like I said, probably in the next month. So
Awesome.
we have a lot going on.
Yeah, sounds like a lot on your guys' plates, and you're actually down someone.
We
right?
are.
Yeah.
We are a small team. We had 4. We're down to 3 at the moment. We have served over 6,000 families.
Mm-hmm.
We have granted over 1,600 wishes.
God bless.
And we wear many, many hats. In fact, we have, again, thank you, COVID, had to cancel our in-person annual flagship event called Wishes and Wine. We've always done one in Spokane. We've always done one in Tri-Cities. A live event, 300 people, the music, the live auction.
Yep.
COVID fixed that, so this year we are taking it to the virtual platform. So it will be an online auction. That will start November 13th at 10 a.m. People can log on, wishingstar.org/wishes and wine, and they can browse without signing up or registering. You can go in and just shop, behind the camera. And then once you find, or if you see something you'd like, then you would go in and register and start the bidding. But it's going to go for a whole week, November 13th to November 20th.
And all the proceeds go to Wishing Star itself.
Yep, November 20th at 6 o'clock. We're shutting it down. Highest bidders will get, what they won. We have a trip to Mexico. We have a trip to Arizona. We've got lots of Chef Chad White is donating a catered dinner for 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Coeur d'Alene Christmas Cruise, night at the Coeur d'Alene Resort,
Been
Legends
there, done that.
Casino. We've got all kinds of things and lots of Christmas ideas, gifts as well.
Awesome.
So,
Well,
yeah.
Hopefully that goes well.
Yes.
And that Wishing Star and these fundraisers is able to raise the money necessary to help keep granting these wishes.
Thank you. We've been really blessed in that, being that we're local,
Mm-hmm.
being that dollars that come in our door go to children within the region. We are at the point now where we have businesses calling us and saying, "Hey, how can we help?" We have a year-long campaign with City Thrift out in Coeur d'Alene.
Okay.
And that's a thrift store, beautifully appointed, new and used goods. So a portion of the used goods that are sold goes to Wishing Star, and they'll come over to Spokane and pick up your stuff.
Okay, so kind of like Goodwill, but local.
Yeah, they'll come get it.
Yeah.
We have a year-long partnership with Dr. Brian Hill. And he is a dentist out north, and any new patients that come in that pick Wishing Star as one of 3 organizations, he'll donate. So, if we do these year-long campaigns and big ones pop up here and there.
You can continue and even
Yeah.
grant more wishes on top of the ones that you already do.
And we are working on about 37 wishes right now with
Awesome.
another 42, 43 in line after that.
Okay.
So we
And
continue to grow.
If someone wanted to donate directly, what's the website they would go to again?
Wishingstar.org. We also have a text to give. They can text 24365, like 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Makes
Very
sense.
easy to remember.
Clever.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we are busy, and we are growing, and we are
Likewise with us.
yeah. And so thank you for having me on.
Of
and
course. Of
it's-
course. We're always pleased to have any nonprofit, especially Wishing Star, on our
Yeah.
programs.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining in. Have a wonderful day.
Finally, join us with Jabrell as he talks with Michael Moran about the ongoing COVID struggle with healthcare in Deer Park. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Jabril Andrade. I'm here with Michael Moran, who is a clinical manager at, you can say it with me, it's Deer Park.
Deer Park Family Care Clinic and Deer Park Urgent Care.
Yes, and we're just here to talk about how, the clinic and everything's been going with the past. I mean, everyone knows what's happening in the past year and a half, but just kind of how it's been going for you. So I'm just going to preface this. I've never been up to Deer Park. Kind of what is it like up there for those who haven't been? Like, is it nice kind of chill rural community or?
Yeah, Deer Park is an interesting community. It's we've been we opened up the clinic in 1998, and back then Deer Park really felt like it was a long way away from Spokane, and ever since then, over the past 25 years, Deer Park just feels like it's becoming closer and closer to Spokane, and it's kind of coming into its own. The community itself is growing. We get a lot of people moving in there who want to just get a little bit out in the country, a little bit further away from the traffic in the city, but it's very close at the same time. It only took me about 30 minutes to get down here downtown and park, so it's a good place for that. Plus, it's quick to be able to get up the mountains, maybe 49 North or Schweitzer or Mount Spokane, and a lot of outdoor activities.
Yeah, just kind of close enough to the city,
It
but
is.
also close enough to the outdoors
Exactly.
and everything like that. So you opened the clinic in '98. Were you involved with that, or did you come
I
in
was,
later?
yes.
And just kind of how was the story of how did you get involved with opening this clinic up in Deer Park?
Sure. Well, originally the clinic, as I said, opened in '98. Originally, the two of the physicians who owned the clinic were working for the hospital at the time. There was a small critical access hospital right next to where our clinic is now, and they had made a decision to not have the physicians employed and worked with them and with us to have a building right next door and to open up our own clinic right there. And so that's how Deer Park Family Care Clinic became in existence.
Awesome. And so I guess the question is, we could go back to March 2020 when
Yeah.
everything kind of went down.
Sure.
What was kind of the first response in the clinic? It's small rural area. It's what's it called? Spokane obviously got a lot of cases really quickly.
We did. We were like an epicenter, weren't we?
Yeah. So kind of how was the response there? Were there a lot of cases up in Deer Park? Was it manageable? Hard to deal with? How was that?
Well, it was interesting, and I guess I might back up just a little bit because we talked about the clinic, but we also, and I also the administrator for Deer Park Urgent Care, which we opened in '07, when the hospital that I talked about earlier, the hospital closed in 2008, and we knew that Deer Park still needed to have some acute care for people after hours on the weekends where our clinic isn't open, and so that's just, so Deer Park Urgent Care is also there as well, and we've experienced a lot of differences between the clinic and the urgent care for COVID. But to your question, yeah, we all started noticing, I think it was mid-March of 2020, things started changing. We had the lockdown, of course, schools started closing, we had mandates of started looking at mask mandates and businesses closing and no access to toilet paper, all of that. What we started doing first at the clinic and at the urgent care was trying to figure out how to set up our structures. At that point, we felt temporarily, maybe for a few months, to how are we going to handle the differences between our regular patients coming in and people coming in who had COVID. At an urgent care or at a family medicine office, we're not set up with positive pressure rooms and ICU level air sterilization to be able to take care of people. And we didn't know how the disease was transmitted at that time, as you recall. And I think all of us remember things just were changing, I think, every other day. And so we were trying to keep up on top of that and at the same time keep seeing our sick patients, because before COVID, we're already a very busy practice, both at the urgent care and at the family care office. So what we did is we set up a different entrance for people who were sick, and we were able to assess them and find out, did we think they had COVID? Because we didn't have a good test at the time. We didn't have testing on site, and so we had to figure out all of that. But obviously, us, just like everyone else, we kind of hoped that this was going to be a temporary thing and maybe things would just resolve over the summer. And so our next step, which we started believe we started at the urgent care first, was to start managing a lot of our patients if they came with being sick, which meant to us maybe a new cough, a fever, something along flu-y, cold symptoms. We started taking care of them outside. We would either see them in the parking lot, we would call them on the phone, starting with that. And then telephone visits really became the norm from April pretty much through the summer, which really changed the dynamics of both clinics.
Yeah. And you talk about, because it's always known that like COVID was a logistical nightmare for so many of the huge hospitals, but no one really talks about how it was for kind of the smaller clinics,
right,
in these smaller towns. And so just how was it, were you ever just at the point where you had to start refusing patients? Were there just too many? And also, was there ever just like, obviously with so much new information, like you said, was there a lot of people coming in thinking they had it, and obviously it was just a cold or things like that, that you had, and how was it like dealing with all of this, with all this new information and more panic coming in as the year went on?
Right. Well, the two offices, we had very different outcomes at both offices. At the urgent care at first, we saw a dramatic drop in patients coming in. People were staying at home. And if they weren't staying at home, they were not going to a clinic or not going to an urgent care or a hospital. That was the place they were wanting to stay away from because they felt that's where sick people were. So we went from seeing, on an average of say 30 some patients a day to some days seeing 2. And we made the decision. We have all of our employees and our staff that need to, they have, they had to put food on the table, and we needed to retain them. So we just had to come up with all kinds of projects for people to do. The first one, we decided we had everyone painting. So went down to the paint store, we ordered new colors and painted the whole inside of the clinic. We started getting ready to do the outside. We had people out weeding in the gardens, and so it was just, so you might have seen your doctor out there, with the paintbrush and roller, and that lasted for quite a few months. At the family care clinic, just down the road, we continued to see patients, but we tried to keep all patients, if we could, out of the clinic. There was a stay-at-home order. We wanted people staying at home as much as they could, and as a healthcare facility, we wanted to promote that, and we wanted to be an example for everyone else. And so we did phone visits, which became very difficult because insurances were having their own struggles, because in the past we're a rural health clinic, and what we need to do to be able to get paid by our majority of our population, which are either state or which would be Medicaid, or federal, which would be Medicare, and we need to have what's called a face-to-face visit. And telephone and video is not a face-to-face visit. So we had to work carefully with our insurance companies and with our payers and with the overseeing government entities that make these changes, and see how we were going to be able to bill for these telephone visits. Now, a problem we found in Deer Park and the north part, basically a rural area. We have a lot of rural patients that start in Spokane, but we have patients that go all the way up to the Canadian border, and then as far as Ferry County to the west, and then over into Ponderay County to the east, and even some into Idaho. A lot of these people don't have reliable internet, and we have a lot of elderly people that either both don't have reliable internet and might not be technology savvy to be able to FaceTime or use Zoom or all of these things that we've all learned about over the past couple of years. So we just use the telephone, but that started to be a big argument with insurance companies, because we said, look, we're trying to keep our patients safe, your members safe, but we need to take care of them. And the only way we can take care of them was on the phone. Yeah. And it's still a problem with that, trying to get paid, because we'll have a husband and wife couple. One will get paid normally for what we bill. The other one, they might deny for, the wrong type of service. And so we're constantly still trying to learn how to bill appropriately with that. And I think the insurance companies are trying to figure out what to do at the same time.
Yeah. Oh no.
It was a mess.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that mess isn't going to get cleared up anytime soon.
I don't think so. No, it's going to be a while still.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd rather just wait for this whole COVID thing to.
Well, I mean, yeah, insurance companies like to deny things.
Yeah.
It's easy to deny because then it costs me a lot of money and takes my billers a long time to try to figure out the mess and contest each denial.
And so you talking about, I didn't know that you had patients from just such a huge geographical area.
It's a big area.
Yeah, and I guess kind of I want to move further in the timeline. The first thing that kind of comes out is, or not comes out, that everyone wants to get is when testing became more and more available.
Yes.
Is that there's a huge rush for that? How was it like there? Like, were you getting people from all around? Were you just
Oh my
getting people
gosh,
in the city,
yes.
or?
Yeah, testing, we became able to do our own on-site testing using the antibody testing. I think it was probably October, right around the October time of 2020. We started doing antigen testing, and then we were able to send out for PCRs using one of the local labs here in Spokane. The PCR test then and now still takes, up to 72 hours. And so if you have a patient who's symptomatic and we want them to stay home, waiting those few days was difficult. So we were excited to get this antibody test, or antigen test, I'm sorry. We have antibody testing as well, but that's a separate story. So that all of a sudden became a huge change at the urgent care. That's when the urgent care went from seeing just a few patients a day to all of a sudden the word on the street went out that urgent care was testing. And we had people wanting to get tests. They wanted to get, their employers are wanting to get them tested. They're wanting to go, get on an airplane. They're wanting to travel. They're wanting to do all this stuff, and they're wanting to get tests. And it's been difficult because as an urgent care, we want to take care of our patients, but we're primarily set up to take care of people who are sick, who have symptoms. And so we had people coming in without symptoms, but they wanted to go see grandma for Thanksgiving in last November.
Yeah.
Or they're wanting to go see mom and dad during Christmas time last year. And so they wanted to get the whole family tested. Now, they were fine. They had no symptoms, but they wanted to get tested. And so what we had to work with, we're not a testing facility. We're not a facility that you can just drive in, swab, do a nasal swab back and forth, stick it in the machine and say, see you later. We're set up to have an appointment with the provider, have the provider talk with you, decide what's the appropriate measure to do, and to order the test, just like if you went in because you had a cough and cold, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And that's been difficult, but we're still doing, we're seeing 50 plus people a day just for COVID testing right now.
Wow.
And it's kind of putting a big drain because it's limiting the amount of people that we can see that have, breaks and cuts and, sinus infections and earaches and headaches and all of this kind of stuff. We're trying to balance those with our COVID testing. So at the urgent care now, we've actually limited the time frame that we're doing COVID testing for people to just walk in and drive up. Yeah. We're hoping that we get, Spokane area gets to a point where we might have local, kind of drive up easily accessible testing facilities for people who want to go to these concerts and restaurants and traveling and going to Canada. I get a lot of calls about we want to go to Canada and get testing. At our family care clinic, we have a full on-site lab, including we do PCR testing there on site, and it's great, and we're able to do it for our patients. But we can't open it up to everyone else because we just don't have we wouldn't be able to manage the volume to be doing rapid PCR tests for everyone who needed to get into Canada, for example.
Yeah, and it's just,
it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's just such a huge geographical area. Like,
you
think it's a rural area, there's not going to be that much, but everyone wanted to.
No, you're right. I mean, I had some people who needed to go. They were going to Europe for a wedding. They lived up in Republic or live up in Republic. They drove all the way down from Republic to Deer Park to come get testing. So then they had to get testing 2 different days. To meet 2 different requirements of 2 different countries in Europe. And so they're driving down from Republic or driving down from Northport. We have people calling. I just got an email today from a family coming down from Canada to, because Canada has now opened back up, but there's a requirement for testing. So we're trying to work with that and just see what we can do each time.
It's definitely, I
It's
can't
nuts.
even understand
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how much logistics and it has to deal with that. So I guess kind of moving on, like you obviously talked like, the clinic, it had barely anyone coming and
Yeah.
then testing happened.
Right.
Do you kind of see also these peaks and valleys with the spikes that COVID has had throughout these years?
We have. I mean, we're definitely coming up on holiday season when we have, we had that. We knew there were going to be a big peak when all of a sudden the borders opened up, when they opened up for traveling, when they start having more testing requirements with schools. We're seeing a lot. But at the same time with testing, we're also having these huge, like we are also doing vaccines and doing boosters. And now just last week, the state and the country opened up to be able to give, kids from ages 5 to 12 the Pfizer vaccine. And so now we're having a huge amount of patients and parents wanting to get their kids vaccinated, which is great, because that's kind of where we need to be going toward. So now not only do we have the testing for people who might have symptoms or concern because they were exposed, and everybody's been exposed, and so you have that, and then we also have our vaccination side where we're constantly doing vaccination clinics and trying to get more and more people vaccinated.
Yeah. That was actually because obviously next point in the timeline is vaccination.
Sure. Okay,
so
great.
I
Good
was just
segue.
I'm glad you brought it up. And so obviously Spokane County, vaccination rate could be higher.
It could be higher.
This is just surrounding counties could be higher. But you said you've seen a lot of people coming in, and kind of how has that been dealing with, 3 different vaccines all getting approved by the FDA at different times? Just how was dealing with that and dealing with, people not knowing or with, people having different information about the vaccines and things like that.
Right. Well, we were very excited when the vaccine came out back in December 2020. And so all our staff, the majority of us were vaccinated by the end of the year to the early part of January of this year. And that was with the Pfizer vaccine. Right when Moderna became available, we didn't make a choice to get the Pfizer vaccine in our clinic because we just didn't. There were 2 problems with having Pfizer at the time. The primary problem for us was that you could only order it in almost 1,000 doses. And so we couldn't manage in our clinic to be able to hold on to 1,000 doses. We wanted to, we left that to the larger groups like Providence and Multicare here in Spokane. And then they did the stuff over at the arena. But once Moderna became available to order, we were early on in getting the Moderna vaccine. And we started having, it was very exciting for the first couple months because the Moderna vaccine comes in a vial, and we call it a multi-dose vial. So it's just one vial, and you can take out as many doses as in the vial. And it was supposed to be a 10-dose vial. And we learned from one of our colleagues up north at Dr. Bennett's office in Riverside that you're able to get sometimes a little bit, if you're really careful and used a special kind of syringe, you can get 11 doses out of a 10-dose vial. And this stuff was gold back then.
Yeah.
And so just getting that extra dose was just exciting because we just had people banging down the doors wanting to get vaccinated. And about a month or so into it, it started becoming kind of difficult because if we say we had 15 people that we wanted to get vaccinated. Well, that's 2 vials, right? So, but then we have 5 to 7 leftovers. And so then that became well, who do you know? Who do you know? And then we literally would be going down the street. There was this one time I was driving down the street. I'd just gone to the post office, and I'm driving back to the clinic, and I see one of our local pastors walking from the post office back to his church. And I asked him, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I was just praying that I could get the vaccine," and you pull over. So he literally jumps in his car, follows me back to the clinic, and we got him vaccinated. And there were other stories. We were doing a lot of on-site vaccines. We'd go to a couple different adult family homes, and we would take care of them on site. So if we found 10 people at an adult family home, we'd just drive down there, get them all taken care of at the same time. There was one time when we were at an adult family home, and I think it was just one of the patients there declined the vaccine. And all of a sudden we're sitting there, and once we puncture the vial, we had 6 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like puncture, set the stopwatch.
Yeah.
And so she declined. I looked down, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I only have a half an hour. What am I going to do with this piece of gold? Because this was early on.
Yeah.
And there was a business about just around the corner, and we happen to know the owners of the business, and I called him up and said, hey, do one of you want to get vaccinated? And they weren't on the schedule at that point. They were, I think we had like 3 different tiers of people.
Yeah.
And they were a couple tiers down, and I said, look, we'll get you taken care of. I've got this. I got to throw it away. And we ran down there and just took care of them right there in the office. And it was just all these exciting times back then. It was, we didn't even realize, I don't think, back then that there would become kind of these 2 camps of some people who are vaccinated and the people who aren't vaccinated.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, I can't imagine just walking down the street and someone just rolls down their window. Do
Yeah,
you want
like,
to get
hey.
vaccinated right now?
Isn't that crazy?
That
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
and
It
it was like liquid gold at that
It
point.
was,
It
yeah.
and I remember back home just waiting for the website to refresh and then clicking 2 things and then getting a notification, sorry, we're out of appointments.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad you got it to as many people as possible.
We just did what we could do. We were calling, and we had lists and lists of people who would just be on call. You call us anytime, we'll come on over. Yeah.
And just kind of finally, well, we're at where we are now. Like cases are down. There has been a bit of a spike, and you said there was probably going to be a spike but kind of how do you see it going forward? Obviously, like you said, there are 2 camps. Vaccinations. It feels like that a lot of the people who got vaccinated are the ones who will be getting vaccinated.
Yeah.
The people who won't. So just kind of how do you see, is this a thing that we're just going to have to deal with going forward? Obviously, booster shots are a thing. And how do you see just your community doing right now?
Whew. That's a big question.
Yeah, that was a lot. Sorry about that.
No, it's just, that's a question that I think we all struggle with. And I mean, obviously, I just wish that people, I think you're right in first, or unfortunately, that, we definitely have people who are, right now there's people who are vaccinated, the people who are not vaccinated, there's definitely some, people have definitely some solid reasons about why they're not vaccinated. And for them to become vaccinated now is going to take, some information. What I do wish is that people who are not vaccinated would talk with their doctor. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
At least get some valid points across, have people understand, so everyone can understand what's going on. We have a lot of people who are, our big push right now are boosters. We're doing a lot of boosters right now, either boosters or kids vaccines. That's what's going on right now in our clinic, at least. Where we're going forward is, I'm a little bit worried. Yeah. But I know we need to just kind of push forward on the campaigns, get some good solid educational campaigns out there, dispel a lot of the myths about what's going on with the pandemic. I think we're Americans, and as Americans, there's a couple things that, we don't like to do. We don't like to do what people are telling us to do.
Yeah.
We want to have our own freedoms,
Exactly.
and I agree. We're the best country in the world, and we lead in so many things. And sometimes, though, we get a little bit egocentric, and we don't realize that this isn't something that's happening just here in Spokane or Spokane County or Washington or the U.S. It's happening globally.
Yeah.
And talking to people in some of these other countries that don't have access to health care and don't have access to a vaccine that would do anything to get a vaccine, we need to see this as more of a global problem. But I don't know how that's going to happen.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I don't. Yeah, fortunately, I don't have to make those decisions
Yeah.
either. I'll just focus on my little community.
Yeah, and just do the best you can
Yeah,
to get as many
right.
people and
Right.
as many shots. And honestly, thank you so much for coming in today. It was a great conversation. I learned a lot of things about just, how you guys are doing things up there, and y'all are doing great work. And, hope you have a good day, and hopefully we could see a future where we don't have to think about this anymore.
Yeah, well, nice to meet you. Come on up to Deer Park sometime. I'll bring you out to coffee or something.
All right. Awesome.
All right, thanks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all from us. Tune in each Friday for more of The Pulse. We hope to see you soon, and until then, feel free to binge all of our content on YouTube or Facebook. Stay safe, and goodbye for now.